Okay, so the other day I was scrolling on my IG and something popped up from General Motors, which was from their design group, where they came out with this sculpture or whatever that they did of the Chevy Blazer SS. And pretty much we already know what that looks like and everything, and they consider that to be the quickest EV SS that they ever created, right? That was like 615 horsepower and like 650 foot-pounds of torque, which was nice. And the starting price was like 61K. So with that, the more I kept looking at it, I put in my comments on it like I always do. Like, man, Jim out here doing the side quests. They're not like really focusing on the main mission. Like they're so caught on the EV, like they're just so focused on doing these side quests and completing these goals that they're not focused on what they're really good at. But the more I was looking at the car, I was like, you know what? This can be like the seventh generation Camaro. Not in the EV, but it could be a hybrid. And the reason I say that is like just looking at the design cues, if you look at the Chevy Blazer SS, it kind of is modeled after the Camaro. After we already know when it first came out, we really didn't like the Chevy Blazer anyway. I didn't care for it. But they did take the interior from a Camaro, right? So the more I keep looking at it, kind of like re-involving this into like the next gen Camaro or maybe the SUV version of the Camaro, just like how Ford did the Mach E Mustang. So that is our like comparative. And when I'm looking at it, if we're talking about price, I feel like this Chevy Blazer SS is competing with the Ford Mustang and the America's best-selling SUV. If you don't know, is the Tesla Model Y in the EV platform. So I feel like that is what GM trying to go after, and they're trying to get a little bit of that money there in their profits. But putting that to the side, after I don't put that out there, we're gonna talk about like the design cues, and the more I'm just looking at it more, like this could be the 7th gen Camaro. So we're gonna look at the front facing of it. I got the picture on the screen here as always, but just look at it from the front. The front looks very, very identical to the 6th gen Camaro, the first iteration, the years 16 through 18. Not the refresh, but it looks like they focus a lot more on that 16 through 18, and kind of like you see where the lights are and the air vents go in through the front bumper. It looks like they just took that design and just put a nice little light bar all the way across. And then if you look at it from how it curves on the side where the air vents go at the bottom, even though EV doesn't have air vents, we sit back and think about how the Camaro looked. They took that there and applied it to this concept. So the 7th gen Camaro could go back to that favorite year that everybody liked, that 16 through 18 model year. Not too many people was a fan of the refresh. For me, I had the refresh because it grew on me. The more I look at it, and I started to look at the aerodynamics of it, and I kind of like it a little bit more. And I like the tail lights of the refresh a little bit more because it gives me that little bit of nostalgia look, and it's not like focused on looking like a Corvette. I always hate that when they did the cars. They always try to look like a Corvette. Even when I had my 6th gen, the red one, I swapped the tail lights to like the Aventador looking lights just so it didn't look like a Corvette, just so it can have its own style. But that's something else I'm just noticing there, that they taking the design cues from the Blazer, off the from the Camaro and putting on the Blazer. But this could be like a trial period that they're playing with to come out with the 7th gen Camaro. That's why I'm leading that there. And also, if you're just looking at the side body lines here, like look like that silhouette just follows all the way through, even all the way to the back. And then just look at how the rear wing is just mounted. Like looking at the rear wing now on the Blazer is mounted very, very similar, kind of to like the ZR1, but it just laid differently. But it seems like when I look at that, I took a step back and look at it from a second view, like, oh crap, this could be like the next version of a ZL1 if they decide to like remodel this and put a real motor in there. Like this could be the ZL1 that we're looking at, ZL1 one that lead, and they can go ahead and they take the wing off. You got the SS version, and then you got the V6 version. The more I look at it, based on these pictures, now when we step out of it, we can kind of, I can see the Camaro. Hopefully you guys can see the Camaro in it, which I think that's going to be pretty dope if the 7th generation look like this. Now, this is where it would, like, GM will fail if they make it an EV. Now, if they decide to make it a hybrid, I feel like this would be phenomenal. So, or they can just mimic. I say at this is the time where GM should be able to mimic the BMW platform. I just keep saying that enough because they can even give us the rear wheel option. If people want that rear wheel version, if they want to do the nice little burnout, they want to drift the car, they definitely should keep it with the manual transmission or the automatic transmission. But at this time, man, them A10s is not looking pretty good based on these recalls. And I just tell you that because the A10 is getting a lot of harp right now based on, there's another recall that haven't came out that I didn't, or that came out that I didn't discuss, because what affected me was the BCM module that needed enhancement or an update. That's all they pretty much said. But it looks like people who have the A10, it apparently is you all getting like a wheel hop issue. That's something else I discovered after, like, a few days later after I made my video. So, and a lot of people was like kind of hesitant about it, and it's affecting trucks too. Even though the trucks have a different transmission model number, like I think it's like a TL90 versus the Camaros have like a TL80 in the platform. So drop a comment below if I'm wrong. I'm going off the top of my head on the transmissions, but I want to say like a TL80 in the Camaros, but it still applies where they got to fix this recall. But that's why I'm saying, like, they could just stick with the A10 if they fix that valve body issue, and they can put it in the 7th gen Camaro. So with this body style, this would be pretty nice. And they probably mixing it and giving us what we need, where it's kind of like that hybrid of an SUV, or they can take the design and refine it down a little bit to be the sports car that we all true and love. So that's why I'm saying they can do the rear wheel drive version with the manual transmission or automatic, or they can copy BMW again. And it's not like they can't do it, because like in the Buick Enclaves and other cars in their format, where they can give us the all-wheel drive version, and you can select that. Because especially in my wife's car, she got she have the front wheel drive. Of course, the Buick Enclave is an SUV, but you have the front wheel drive version where it just activate the front wheels, and she can click on there and put the all-wheel drive version that activate all the wheels. So they got the options there, they got the technology there, and I feel like if they follow that through and listen to the car enthusiasts and listen to what people want, they will get a lot of sales there. So that's what I wanted to bring to you guys. That's something else I seen when I was just scrolling, and I was just looking at, especially when they put the nice little racing slicks on there. I stood back and think like, okay, yeah, it's the quickest EV ever for them. But I mean, Tesla been doing this. But looking at it, I'm like, you know what? This could be the 7th gen Camaro, and they just throwing it out there as the EV just to throw us off, or they doing these side missions just to throw us off to build something else better. So what do you guys think? That's why I set up this video, to have a discussion in the comments on the design cues and everything. So what do you guys think there? And of course, if you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.